Well, hello there. I didn't see you come in. Welcome back to another exciting episode of YBTJ. Today we're going to be studying the case of Don Quixote. Is he a man hell-bent on terrorizing the fair citizens of this great land, committing acts of violence and destruction wherever he goes? Or is he just misunderstood? A man on a mission to civilize, trying to bring back the heroism and chivalry of a bygone era. A man to be emulated, a man to be admired. You be the judge.
The crack staff here at YBTJ were able to find some people who know Quixote best.
He was my uncle who just loved his books, and he just got so sucked in that I didn't think it was going to get that bad, but I guess it did. But, hey, just let him pretend to be a knight. Let him go out and set out with his journeys becoming a knight.
Time I meet this guy, he comes into my place of business acting like, a ye old knight of some kind, right? And I think at first, this is hilarious. I like him, right? Because he's coming in wearing all kinds of weird stuff, but he's talking about wanting to be knighted and all kinds of weird stuff. I just kind of pat him on the back and say, buy a couple beers while you're here, and we'll both get on our own way tomorrow. How about that? But then, a couple hours later, I hear some kind of ruckus outside, and I go and check it out, and this guy, Quixote, has bashed two dudes across the head. One of them is bleeding on the floor. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that the cops are not getting involved. So I get both those guys inside, and I tell Quixote, enough messing around, no more hitting people, just stay calm for the rest of the night, and we can get on with our business later. All right? So I just tried to calm the situation down, go back to my room. I'm done for the night. So next day, this Quixote guy, he will not stop bugging me about knighting him. And I don't, at this point, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play into a sick little game, whatever it is that he's doing. I don't want to be a part of it, right? But then the more I think about people's heads getting bashed in and more police coming to my place of business, and I say, you know what, Mr. Quixote, I will knight you right here and now. Even though, secret be told, I don't know what the hell that means or how I do it, but I go ahead and I just do it. And you know what? What do I think about Don Quixote? I think he's bad for the hotel business. That's what I think.
Well, my friend and I, we were standing outside of the inn that we were staying at with our boss, and he came in and he looked really, really passionate, really intimidating because he had, he had weapons on him, on his person. But he came up to us and he was so nice. I had never been treated so nicely by a man before. He called me a fair maiden, and I just wasn't used to that. It really skyrocketed my self-esteem. I wasn't expecting that kind of flattery or romance. And he spoke with such he spoke so educated or something like that. So fancy. I was so taken aback. I was so honored when I got to be in his knight ceremony. I got to be in a knight ceremony as a fair maiden, and it was crazy. But he has a temper. He almost killed my boss, but my boss is a jerk, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm just so good. I'm so glad that he's a knight. So romantic.
So I'm traveling down the road with my brother, as we are part of the Order of Saint Benedict, and we're traveling towards the nearby chapel in Edinburgh, when suddenly a crazy man stopped ahead of us and told us to stop. Proclaiming that we had kidnapped a princess and held her captive, he told us that if we did not release her, we would face punishment by his hand. However, we didn't know what he was talking about. We were very confused, and we told him that no, we don't have a princess. We've done nothing wrong. Proclaiming that soft words would not convince him that our deeds were not evil, he attacked us. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. Struck by a lance, I fell to the ground and was suddenly attacked by another man who attempted to steal all of my belongings. He stole my robes, my boots, and my rosary. Lucky for me, though, before all my clothes was taken, my servants came to the rescue and were able to push him off and make him leave. After that, we don't know what happened to Don Quixote and his accomplice. They just rode off into the distance and left us there.
Don who?
Oh, the guy who's been doing all the crazy stuff recently, and he says he uses you as his main motivation.
Oh, okay, that guy, yes, okay. Well, some of my friends have been telling me about him, but I don't actually know him. They keep saying that he keeps, talking about me on social media. But, I mean, it's a little bit flattering. He's kind of sounds obnoxious. But, I mean, if only he'd actually tell me these things in person. Maybe I'd actually be able to say something about him.
I work from 9 to 5, 7 days a week, all year round, and I'm basically a wage slave. And to my manager, I'm nothing but his servant boy to him. And so one day, he and I were having a falling out over unfinished work and unpaid wages. And this strange man comes in, calling himself Don Quixote, taking charge of the situation between me and my manager. And he tells my manager to act a bit more knightly. He tells my manager to treat me with a bit more respect. And in the end, he ends up walking away. And I end up having my hours cut and my wages unpaid, even more so. So Don Quixote entering my life didn't improve situations, it made them a bit worse. I'll never forgive him for leaving me in that situation, but I also will not forget how, he stuck up for me. He treated me with respect, and it felt nice. So, my encounter with Don Quixote, I have mixed feelings.
I met Don Quixote at Grisostomo's funeral. I went to Grisostomo's funeral because I wanted to tell everyone there that it was not my fault that Grisostomo killed himself just because I didn't want to marry him. I even told Grisostomo that what makes me happy is sheep herding, not being tied down to a man for the rest of my life. Anyway, once I told them that, I left. And I was going to be harassed, so Don Quixote very nicely, very gentlemanlike, defended me. He was kind of threatening, but, no one followed me after that, and once I went into the forest, that was the last time I saw him.
Wondering about this helmet here. This helmet is in commemoration of our good Lord, Don Quixote, who exemplifies our three pillars of faith in this church of our Lord Don Quixote. The first pillar is justice without compensation. Don Quixote doesn't do justice for coinage or for a good pat on the back. He does it because he is just. Justice for justice sake is our most fundamental pillar, especially in ethics. Our second pillar is fairness towards all. So a lot of people who are rational, a lot of people who have common sense, they think fairness towards all just means being good towards all. That's not the case. Don Quixote knows this for a fact. Don Quixote treats the good good and treats the bad bad. Self-explanatory. And the third pillar of our faith, and I think the most important pillar of our faith, is self-conviction, our passion towards our life, and for us to think that we are right at all cases. A lot of people have rationality, a lot of people have common sense. They doubt themselves, and they lead themselves to a life of mediocrity. People like us who worship Don Quixote, we have self-conviction in ourselves. We believe that we, as passionate beings, live our lives the way we live it, without anyone else's expectations. If you'd like to learn more about our religion, we have a Facebook page at the Church of Our Lord Don Quixote at Facebook, or you can just come to our sermon every Friday at 4 to 5. It's going to be a blast.
Unfortunately, neither Don Quixote nor his compatriot Sancho Panza were available for comment. If you see these men, approach with caution. They are to be considered armed and dangerous. However, if you'd like to just report their location, call 1-800-555-YBTJ. See you next week.